gentleman's agreement between the residents of a Togi community in Mokwa local government area of Niger State and Fulani herdsmen has ended in bloodshed. Reports say a dispute between some residents and the herdsmen had earlier led to the death of one of the herders, but last Saturday, evil visited the community when suspected Fulani herdsmen laid siege to a local mosque and ruthlessly had 21 worshippers to death. This is another shameful defeat to the fragile peace in the North Central. In the last 2 years, herdsmen have shown insatiable appetite for blood. Thousands of Nigerians have been killed. How many more people will be killed before the federal government stops this senseless acts? Jide, I don't know. North Central. Is there anything? Because I know their headquarters to, be in Benue State. Now they're shifting to Niger State.
Well, they've been attacking Niger State for some time. It's just a fact that life is so cheap in Nigeria that sometimes even when as many as 20 people get killed, it hardly becomes front page news.
At all?
We've lost the capacity to be shocked by
just 20 people.
Killings by terrorists, killings by Fulani militia. It's just elsewhere when 10 people get killed by terrorists, it becomes an international affair. Yes, the whole world will solidarize with them. You see Nigerians using
a black band,
using the flag, using French flag as their DPs and all that. But when more people than the number that was killed in France gets killed in their own country, Nigerians just move on like it's a normal thing. Just like breathing in and breathing out. They see it as a normal thing. But the fact remains that the government must do something about Fulani herdsmen. You can't be boasting that you've defeated Boko Haram when, in fact, what looks clear to us is like we have created another terrorist group to replace Boko Haram. And in fact, the world now sees the Fulani herdsmen as even deadlier than Boko Haram.
Yeah,
because for 2014, the Global Terrorism Index rated Fulani militia as being the fourth most dangerous terrorist group in the world, accounting for 1,229 deaths in 2014 alone. Now, between 2013 and 2017, the Fulani herdsmen have killed more than 2,000 people in Benue State alone, having attacked 14 out of the 23 local governments in that state. Of course, we know what they've done in the Agatu communities, the farming communities in Agatu. As we speak, they are even still attacking communities in Benue State. So in Agatu land, they killed more than 500 people before our president was prevailed upon to send in soldiers. And they rendered more than 700 homeless. Now, apart from these communities in the north, and including even Adamawa State, where the herdsmen have been running riot, herdsmen are killing people regularly in Delta State. But a lot of it does not get reported. They are probably even killing people in Delta State more than any part of Nigeria as we speak. Right. Remember the case of the traditional ruler who was kidnapped, because they are also going into kidnapping, because they've seen that kidnapping is a pastime that is extremely lucrative. Anything that has a huge, what is it called, profit margin, Nigerians can kill to get involved in it. So they are getting involved in kidnapping. They are running riot literally in Delta State as we speak, especially this university community. What's the name of this town?
Epoma.
No, not Epoma. Epoma is in those states. Is Abraka. Abraka You know,
Well,
the whole of that area, wherever there is fertile land, they want to come. And unfortunately for us, we can't even determine that all of these people are Nigerians, because we know that Fulanis are in Mali, they are in Guinea, they are in Niger, they are in Senegal, they are in parts of Chad. They can come in from anywhere. You and I know that our borders are extremely porous. So the people killing Nigerians now, we cannot say with certainty that all of them are Nigerians. But the important thing is that justice has to be served. When people take the lives of other people, you must serve justice to them. When people kidnap other people, you must serve justice to them. Apart from what we saw in Ondo State with the quick dispensation of justice by Nigerian standards. So quick dispensation of justice in the Olufalaye. We've never had, up to now, we do not have any record that these felons have been put on trial. And of course, you see what they are doing in Kaduna State. We are in just 4 local governments. They have destroyed more than 53 villages, and the Khan, I think
the president yesterday,
they are even saying that about 800 people. I think it's a Catholic diocese that is saying that more than 800 people have been killed. I do not agree with the figures from Kaduna, but what I do agree with is that it is important that these guys are brought under control. We can't have a government that looks away while fellow Nigerians are being killed, because these are people who voted for our president. So the life of the Nigerian should be seen as precious. Fulani militia should not be allowed to continue to kill Nigerians the way they are doing currently. Enough is enough. It has to stop.
Lekon, when you look at it, and these people, it used to be a northern thing. Now it has, as Jude said, we'll have it right in southwest now. And we go to Ogun State, they complain, go to Ondo State, go to Edo State, everybody is complaining.
Or you're not. Well, my own take on this is that finally we can now identify them as Fulani headsmen. There has been a narrative telling us that they are just headsmen. You know, whether they came from another country or they are Nigerians, the truth is out now that they are Fulani men. Now, whether they are foreigners or Nigerians, Nigerian law must take its course. Now, this government, the government of former General Muhammad Buhari, came to power on 3 planks: anti-corruption, economics, and security. I like to think that security does not start and end with Boko Haram. It's security in all ramifications.
Of lives and property
and where people and property are being destroyed by human beings. I think the security agencies need to step up their act, contain this and prevent subsequent, because there is a principle which the law recognizes: self-protection, meaning that if you attack me so much that I know that certainly you are not going to stop, and there is no form of escape for me, the law allows me to retaliate. And I don't think we should get to that stage in this country where people, where communities begin to identify who are you before you can't enter this community. It might get to that position that as soon as people identify you remember during the Civil War, they will ask somebody to say Toro, and when you say Toro, they say, oh, it's from the East. Do you understand? It may get to that point, because that's the only way people can secure themselves now. You remember in the 90s, maybe early 80s, early 2000s, when you enter some cities, some towns in Jebu, in Nigeria, there are vigilante. Okay,
Lekon, let me hold you there. Let's take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from Television Continental. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout, and Mayor Akipelu is joining us. Mayor, welcome. Thank you.
You are King Pelu.
All right, Mayor. Now, I We're talking about this herdsman, and 21 hacked to death in Niger State by this Fulani herdsman.
I think the problem of the herdsman has to do with tacit encouragement from governments.
What do you mean by that?
Because the federal government has not reacted the way they should. They did not see it as a challenge, as a security challenge.
Not decisive enough.
Yeah, they're not decisive enough. They do not see it as a security challenge. It could be. Some people are saying it could be maybe because the president is the patron or supposed patron of herdsmen in Nigeria. But the kind of reaction government is giving herdsmen is not the kind of reaction that government accepts that this is a security challenge. If you remember, there was a time that the governor of Kaduna State was even toying with the fact that they are trying to compensate them.
That they know,
they
compensated, and they did, and they compensated, reached out to them. And you can't do that because what they are engaging in are criminal activities. So you should not pacify them in any way. It's a security challenge that you're dealt with. And the problem is that when people know that they can get away with things, they get emboldened. Because there was a photograph that I saw one time when you see an herdsman with an AK-47, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be, because the normal citizen is not supposed to go around with the AK-47, you know. But so I think that the federal government are not doing what they're supposed to do. These people are involved in criminality. Most of them, like Jude said, most of them are foreigners. Actually, most of them are foreigners, and it's because because they move, they are nomadic in nature, they move from one place to another, so it's easier for them to move down this plane. And I think where we're having problems now is because there is this in search of land, they are now in conflict with farmers because they're getting involved in people and going to people's land, and that's why that we have this. And because they think they must have their way, and it has spread up to the east, to the southwest, to middle belt. So I think the federal government, the problem has to do with the federal government. Federal government should be decisive enough and do what is expected of them to protect the citizens of the country.
Judy, I'm afraid the influx of, because the people that they were described, these herdsmen, the way they were described in Benue State, because I was listening to several stories about this yam market and everything. Now, the influx of arms and ammunition is worrisome because I was told that these people are well armed, and that is not something that maybe a regular police might not be able to curtail them. That you need even the military, and the military will need to do more in terms of containing these people.
You see, that was why I tried to popularize the idea of calling them the Fulani militia, because the people who go around killing people and literally wiping out communities, they are not the regular herdsmen. The regular herdsmen can't take on a sitting governor. Remember what they did to former governor of Benue State when he attacked this convoy? The governor and his team had to beat a retreat because they were well armed. I saw the video. They were well armed. And the Fulani herdsmen that we've always known, they do not carry assault rifles. They trust their sticks. Even if an animal confronts them, still with the stick that they're going to fight off the animal. So, but in this case, when they have a conflict with people in a particular community, they summon their militia, which is the armed wing of the group. They summon the militia, they go right there and take on those people and kill people. So I do not think that it makes sense to just say, oh, Fulani herdsmen. It's the Fulani militia. That is the armed wing of the Fulani herdsmen, their own armed wing, that is actually carrying out these atrocities. And it will not be out of place to actually situate them as a terrorist group, because in some cases you cannot explain why they are doing this. You can't go to someone's community, rape their women, and then expect them to fold their arms and watch you. And when they protest, the next thing you do is to start killing them. That's what happened in Enugu State. And the response from the security agencies was extremely slow. That's why they got away with what happened in Enugu State.
Sometimes they have hours to operate.
We can't encourage a situation where governors will now be arming their people, because you know that Fawashe actually carried out that threat. He said we are going to buy guns for our people so that they can stand up to these rampaging headsmen. The way they kill people, I believe that something must give. If the government does not act decisively, because right now it's difficult to say, oh, when it happens in this part of the country, that's why they keep quiet. They killed people, even policemen in Adamawa State, and nothing has happened. I've not heard that the headsmen who killed people in Adamawa State recently have been rounded up and put on trial. As long as you are finding it difficult to arrest these people and serve them justice, they will continue their assault on Nigerian communities. The government must do something, okay, whether they are Nigerians or they are not Nigerians. I thought the vice president told us that day here that the president has given the marching orders that the headsmen killing people are criminals and they should be treated as criminals. So why has it been difficult to actually treat them as the real criminals that they are?
Adegboyega is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Boyega. Yes.
Yes. Well, I would really support Mr. Pepelu. He said something when he started talking now. See, I think when it comes to terrorism in this country, it seems to be kind of biased and sentimental. Because the point we are getting to now is, face me, then I face you. If that doesn't happen, I think the federal government will never have something very tangible to do about it. Imagine when they started in the state. Started like two fights between a particular Fulani man and a scammer. And immediately the state government has to rise to action. If you didn't rise to action, then I think the thing is going on in other states now. I think people need to attend the seat great. So what is the very useful for? I think all the states.
Thank you, Boyega. Thank you, Boyega, for your contribution. And Boyega, what Boyega is saying now is that, look, that it's lopsided the way the federal government is treating this.
There is need for the kind of decisive action that
yes.
took.
Well, it probably confirms what some of us have been saying, and they say we should not be saying it, that why can't we have state police? So that when this
is this not beyond police?
Well, state police.
Because the regular police cannot even confront these militias. The way
you know how much state governments arm even Nigeria police within their states. You know how much Lagos State committed into equipment, arms and ammunition, helicopters, speedboats, bikes, and so on. They can still do more. Now, if we start having state police, somebody would think twice before going to another. You had a problem, somebody died, you went away, you armed yourself, you now came back in the morning to come and kill people, including the chief, the imam of that mosque. That's a premeditated murder. Somebody sat down.
It has no barrier now.
But when you know that
it has nothing to do with Christianity,
you can't call yourself a Muslim.
Exactly. So when you know that, when you know that there's a local police on ground, if you do that, they are not answerable to the president, who seems to be, shall we say, is not looking at this thing judiciously. Then you will think twice.
For state police, then the spread has to be such that every community will be so well defended, because you will notice that they go to vulnerable communities.
Yes.
So if you have state police and state police is concentrated in the urban centers, you know, as we have now, even with our own police, because you don't have enough police posts and police stations in the rural areas, and these are the places where they are running riot. There's a community in Gwe West in Benue State that they went to. The first thing they did was to first go and sack the police station. You see, when you have a militia that is well armed, even in urban communities or semi-urban communities, they will first go to the police station, dislodge the policemen who are there, and then begin to run riot. There's a place called Brenengwari in Kaduna State. When the cattle rustlers came, the first place they went to was the police station. And you can't say Brenengwari is a rural area. No, it's not.
Should local communities be encouraged to defend themselves?
Yes, but I don't think they will be able to do that, because, like you said, why they are heavily harmed is because, if you remember, the Tuaregs in Mali, for a long time were involved in this uprising. So, like you said, basically we are dealing with a militia, not ordinary herdsmen. And because the Tuaregs, because at the time, for a long time, they have this uprising, and then they went to Libya to fight. So a lot of them left. Yes, a lot of them left Libya with sophisticated.
They're like charter fighters.
Yes, they're like charter fighters. People take them, they go and all that. So most of these militiamen are from there. That's where they get. That's the source of their ammunition, because most of them, there are a lot of ammunition that left Libya when Gaddafi was the thing.
Still ahead on Journalist Hangout, critics fault additional 10 billion naira National Assembly's allocation in 2017 budget. Details after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The 2017 budget is a budget of miracle. 5 months into the 12-month calendar year, the budget has not seen the light of the day. Now, but miraculously, is what critics call the insensitivity and criminally annoying increase in the National Assembly allocation from 115 billion naira to 125 billion naira. More worrisome is the allocation for debt servicing in the budget. Critics say allocating 24.73% of the entire budget, of the budget for debt servicing, only means that the weight of our nation's debt is fast becoming too heavy to carry. Now, how did we get to this quagmire? Jide, if we are talking about 24.73% of the entire budget, give us a figure.
Oh, we are saying, clearly, what we are saying here is that 36% of estimated revenue is projected for servicing debts. It's a very ridiculous thing to know that we are actually taking loans to finance consumption.
Taking loans?
Yes, we are going to be taking loans to finance consumption. That's the way it is. Now, if you look at what it is 1.84 trillion is what we have budgeted for debt servicing.
1.84
trillion, which means that the 1.3, it is higher than 1.34 trillion that we have set aside to spend in 10 ministries. And those 10 ministries,
10 ministries.
Yes, that's what we have allocated to 10 ministries. 1.34 trillion allocated to 10 ministries. Now, you've now allocated 1.84 to service debt. Is higher than what you are going to spend in 10 ministries. Those ministries are defense, education, health, power works and housing, transport, trade and investment, Niger Delta, agriculture, and the police. So there can never be anything more ridiculous than this.
Defense.
To say that 36% of your budgeted revenue will go to just servicing debt. It shows clearly that we are in trouble. We've not come out of this recession despite the lies that we are daily fed with. We've not come out. We are in trouble. We can't raise money. We must now do something about all the windows through which we can raise money, taxation, and the rest of them. Soludo was talking about it last week, that you can't sustain this kind of arrangement. It's just not sustainable. At some point, the whole thing will snap. I don't want to use a more demoralizing word. At some point, the whole thing will snap. This is not a budget that will work.
Lekon, we are looking at a budget of 7.44 trillion naira, and we are talking about a recurrent expenditure of 2.98 trillion naira and a capital expenditure of 2.18 trillion naira. So we service debt 1.8 trillion, and we go to statutory fees, that is 434 billion naira. And from this breakdown, what do you make of this? Is this an improvement from the 2016 budget? And that 2016 budget, if in terms of implementation, I don't know. How far did we?
Listen,
how well did we fare?
You know the exchange rate last year, the official exchange rate last year, and you know the official exchange rate today, 306 or 305 naira. That's the official exchange rate. As soon as the naira was devaluated last year, what happened was that even though they told us our economy is for $500 billion, it dropped. It is no longer $500 billion. Now, I'll explain some things. Now, the debt servicing, you can say, is fixed. It's not going to increase, not going to be negotiated, except there is a restructuring, which we didn't have this time. Now, so it neither increases nor goes down in terms of value. So whoever gave us loan, whatever he gets, he agreed with the government is what he is going to get, whether there's inflation or not. But the other aspects of the budget that goes into defense, into power, into works and housing, even if they look so huge, the value of the naira has dropped. What the money that we had, 7.44 trillion, what we have today, will not do what what was it last year was supposed to do. I can assure you of that. Now, something is happening. If you look at the 1.84 trillion that is going to be spent to service debt, part of it is going to be spent within Nigeria. You begin to unbundle some of these bonds and treasury bills and all that. And then another percentage is going to be paid to outside debtors. And that's where you are going to be looking for more naira in order to buy more dollars before you can pay the external creditors. Do you get what I'm saying? We can say, okay, the money what is going to be paid to those in Nigeria will be spent within the economy, fine. Now, do you know something? That we are going to be paying $1.84 trillion naira, but we are taking 2.27 trillion naira loan again. So we are taking loan to pay loan. And then we will now have another excess loan again. Now, if the interest rate on this new loan is going to be lower than the previous loan, then I would think, okay, maybe they have done something fantastic. But right now, I don't know the details, and I don't think anybody, especially with the inflation rate in Nigeria and what the central bank is doing, nobody will take a lower interest rate from us.
After the debt settlement in 2006 or 2005 under Olusegun Obasanjo, which Okunjowala played, a critical role, I'm afraid that we might be going down the burden of debt again after we paid the Paris Club.
That's the tragedy of the Nigerian situation. I said tragedy of the Nigerian situation because we got to that dead end because at a point our debt portfolio was slowing down the country, and we had to, because we had contacts, we had international contacts, and Okunjowala was able to convince people. We were able to pay part of it, and they were able to write off, and it was like to give us a new beginning for us to now plan properly and don't borrow things and spend it on. It's just like if you're a businessman. If you borrow money from the bank, you are supposed to use it in ventures that will generate income. If you don't do that, if you borrow money from the bank and use it to marry a second wife, or use it to buy a car, or spend it on frivolities, definitely you are going to end up being, maybe your company will be in receivership, or somebody will come and give you problems because you will not be able to pay back. But the tragedy of the Nigerian system is that the bulk of the money that we are spending to service debt, we are using it on the credit expedition, mostly. So we are not even using that, because if you look at the capital development fund, it's very low. So we keep, instead of us to restructure and look at our economy and see how we can improve it, we still want to continue the way we were living, and we were borrowing money to sustain that lifestyle. So definitely we cannot succeed doing that. It's not rocket science. We cannot succeed doing that.
Jide, is there, should we start, is this a welcome development? For the first time in so many years, I'm seeing capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure almost at par. I think the recurrent is higher.
It's an improvement, yes.
Recurrent is higher, but it's not the way it used to be. Before, we used to have 70%, 60% of the budget paying salaries, full taking care of bills. But this year, I can see 2.something trillion for capital and recurrent. Is there a source of happiness for that? Cause for happiness?
Well, I'm not excited because what we see, what we already can see about this budget, you know, offers little hope that this is a budget that will succeed. It is easy to predict what will happen because a budget, yes, there is an improvement in terms of even the size of the budget, but the problems that we are talking about, the fact that even critical ministries are not getting what they should get. Look at health, for example. It violates even the Constitution of Nigeria that we are allocating that little to health.
Do you have the figure? You don't have the exact figure. We're doing health. We have Ebola in Congo now, God forbid, to come back to Nigeria. We have meningitis, and I was thinking that we should be able to...
Health. Health is 55.6 billion. Works are now saying 553.7. Agriculture 103. You know, so
health is
55.6 billion.
It's very low.
It's very low. I'm trying to see if I can get education. Education is 56.72.
Same amount.
You know, people have canvassed over the years that these two ministries, education and health, should actually get a lot more. But selfish politicians conspire to ensure that these ministries do not get as much as they should get. It shows that they do not care about the well-being of fellow Nigerians.
And the infrastructural deficit in the health sector.
That's why meningitis will continue to kill people. Last week, they announced to us that meningitis had killed 1,069 people.
In 2017.
That's just in just a little over a month. They killed meningitis killed that number.
And you should be rest assured
we have no means.
There's a tendency that the figure will be higher than that.
Of course, because where you have not been able to achieve cross-country vaccine coverage, you should expect that more people will die. They've tried to deceive us that, oh, this thing they've already succeeded in defeating it. But we see clearly that this is not true. For me, when you look at a budget in which the National Assembly makes up its mind to spend about 13 billion on welfare, on trips and all that, it offers no glimmer of hope to me. So I can only be excited when I see clear signs that that budget will succeed in terms of its implementation, because the implementation is important. You can see figures. At the end of the day, if the budget is not implemented, then those figures will just be what they are. That is the dilemma that we face. Every year, we come up with a budget document, you know, but the devil is in the implementation of the budget. We have never really succeeded in effectively implementing our budget. So when I see such things like you talked about, I prefer to just sit back and watch and see how things pan out.
My producer is just informing me that registered doctors by the Nigerian Medical Association, they have 40,000 doctors practicing, registered doctors, but 19,000 doctors are practicing abroad out of our 40,000 doctors, and we have 21,000 doctors in Nigeria, domiciled in Nigeria, taking care of almost 200 million people.
With no equipment.
With no equipment.
Listen, Ayo, the Abuja Declaration in 2000 said that...
Okay, Lekon, let me quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll just continue on this. This is Journalist Hangout. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and we are looking at the 2017 proposed appropriation, and it's very, very funny if we are not spending money on education. We spoke about health, 52 million naira and 55 million naira on health, billion naira on health, and 52 billion naira on education. And a lot of people have been saying that if we don't educate our doctors, if we don't educate people, there's no how we're going to get out trained professionals. But beyond this, when you look at how do we prioritize our budgets, as in, okay, what will determine this will go for this and this?
Jide said something, or Mayor said something. There is infrastructure deficit. Listen, what does infrastructure? If you look at the classical definition of asset in accounting, it says an asset is something that generates more income. So we need, when we have those assets, those infrastructure, do you understand? Those are the things that the economy will be built upon. We're talking about railway lines, we're talking about roads, we're talking about electricity, and the rest of them.
Those basic things, we don't have it.
We don't have them. Even where you have them, there's a picture trending on social media now of an airport. They say it's not. They say it's not
the
true.
new airport that just renovated.
Oh, somebody says it's a lie.
It's an old picture.
It's an old picture.
Okay. The mischievous fellow that
you know, but that shouldn't have happened in the first place, even if it's an old picture.
This was taken
So
when they had that flooding.
So we have to take
opened that dam in Cameroon.
Okay.
So we have to invest massively in infrastructure. Then we need to look inward. Look, Nigeria is still an agrarian economy. Let's be realistic. Why can't we just invest in our agric and agro-allied industry? Let's even feed ourselves in the first place to start with. You know, let's process what we produce locally. So we have more infrastructure, we have more plants and machinery that will process agricultural products within Nigeria. Let's even have that for ourselves.
Mayor,
the Swiss don't produce cocoa, but they have the best.
And they come and take
I wanted to ask you that, in spite of us saying that none of this budget for education is not moving up, budget for health sector is not moving up, my brothers in the National Assembly can still find time to increase their own from 115 to 125.
I think it's irresponsible of members of the National Assembly to increase their budgets.
In spite of the recession.
What I will say that is that if there is a recession, and we acknowledge that there is a recession, it is incumbent on our leaders to make sacrifices. For them to think that because they have disclosed their budget is enough sacrifice is ridiculous. Because there is no need to increase. I've worked in that environment before, and I know that there is no need to increase the budget of the National Assembly because the increase is not for, the increase is just to serve the perks of office.
Foreign trips.
It's to serve the perks of office. Because you will see members of the National Assembly.
There can be no capital
that within the members of the National Assembly,
what is it?
members of the National Assembly that have already voted money for themselves for cars, for houses, they've taken those ones. Yet, they will also give themselves cars after they've collected money for car loans. They will now give themselves cars again and claim that it is to do community work. You understand? And when people make complaints and you expect Nigerians to make sacrifices, and for you to now, and you claim you are leaders of the people, they voted you to be their leaders, because what is government? It's just because people just submitted their sovereignty collectively for people to hold the power in trust for them. So, if for them to now increase their own budget just to continue to nurse their fantasies shows they are irresponsible. That's what I mean.
They've given to themselves cumulatively what is higher than has been allocated to health, education, and solid minerals. And we keep saying that we should look in the direction of solid minerals.
And we're not ready to increase the minimum wage yet.
They've set aside just 12.5 billion or so for solid minerals. So you will find that what they've given themselves is actually higher than what they were allocated to three ministries. So, three critical ministries.
And most of them do not even make contributions. Because if you look at the National Assembly, majority of members of the National Assembly do not even accept plenary.
Will this just pay bureaucracy, pay their allowances, pay salaries, or will this include their foreign trips and seminars?
That is why I talked earlier about 13 billion being set aside for welfare. We called it welfare, and then foreign trips and all that. 13 billion, yes.
13 billion.
13 billion. You are setting aside 12 billion for the solid minerals ministry, but you had the cheek, you had the cheek, the effrontery to give yourselves 13 billion for welfare, and for foreign trips and all that. What sort of people are they in the National Assembly? They continue to provoke Nigerians, because if it continues like this, Nigerians will get really mad with these people.
I don't think so. I think we're too. I think as a country, I think we're too docile, because they keep doing this.
This is how it starts. People will think that that day will never come because of bread. Because of bread.
Of course, it will come.
Jafar Nimeri was chased away in Sudan.
Yeah.
You know, many people never imagined that it could happen. So those who want to continue to oil the shackles of the Nigerian people, they can go ahead and continue. But I know that a day will come when the red-faced Nigerian people will say enough is enough.
Yeah.
I look forward to that day.
You still think we're docile?
Yes, I believe so. Because you see, we've complained, Nigerians complain every time that the National Assembly members are not mindful of what we are going through as a people. But my own argument is that, yes, the National Assembly deserves to, because the argument of the National Assembly members is that, okay, you look at the National Assembly, you are not looking at the executive and the perks of office or being the executive members. I agree with that. But my problem is that if you ask people to make sacrifices in this recession, it is irresponsible for you to now allocate more money to yourself just because you are the one that have the powers to appropriate, and then appropriate more money to yourself to take care of welfare and foreign travels. Why should welfare and foreign travels of members of the National Assembly be more than a ministry, an important ministry like solid minerals? It shows that they don't care. They believe that we will do it, we will do whatever we like. They can't do anything. They will complain. We don't care about what they are saying. But like you said, yes, because nobody knew that the Arab Spring will happen when it happened in Tunisia. Yes. So one day, Nigerian people will wake up and realize that, look, we have to take our destiny back from these people.
If you remember, before I forget, if you remember this same National Assembly, when the president slashed what was allocated for constituency projects, they piled pressure on the old man. Invariably, he had to move it to 100 billion. That's talking about the last budget. You know, they piled pressure on him, the horse trading and all that. He had to move it to 100 billion naira for them. And we do not always see this constituency projects. There's a funny former National Assembly member who went to Akute and said he was building a town hall. Go to that place now and see the place overgrown by weeds. Rodents have taken over. They are the ones congregating in the so-called uncompleted town hall. Nobody supervises the constituency project because the executive just leaves them to do what they like. Somebody ought to be supervising the constituency project because it's an avenue for National Assembly members to steal money outright.
No, that's their own security vote.
Lekon, how do we prioritize? How do we do these things? And we keep making the same mistakes every time. Number one, my own problem now that this is May. I'm aware that, yes, there's a place that you can extend the budget, lifespan of the budget and everything. But can't we just learn to do things decently? The president brought this budget December last year.
That's right.
And this is May. And if this gets to the acting president right now, he might just find one or two faults, and we have cause to return it to the National Assembly, right. And we might not, the budget might not be ready till June.
Well, that's why I think Dr. Konjo-Iweala complained that the Nigerian budget is never fully implemented.
Not even up to 60%.
Not up to 60%, sometimes 40%. And the worst part of it is this: the reason we continue to have infrastructure deficit, which is fixed projects, is that when the budget comes out, well, maybe it will come out in May now, I don't know. A lot of these projects They are long-term.
It's in November that they will release the funds.
Yes.
You understand? Because that the budget has been approved, that's actually where I'm going now. Budget release, the physical budget release. Let me tell you something. Do you know that this particular budget, the revenue that is expected from oil, which is the easiest money earner for the federal government, is less than the loan that we are going to be taking.
Okay, rounding up now, Jide. Your last take on this?
My last take is that I'm really distressed about the content of this 2017 budget. I see clearly that we still want to continue to do things the way we are used to doing things. And it's such a massive shame.
We will not get different results. Mayor?
I think it's a ritual. There's nothing that's going to come out of it. I've never been impressed by the Nigerian budget, and I don't think there's anything to it. It's a ritual, there must be appropriation, and people will just do that every year to claim they are doing budget.
I want to thank you, Mayor Akipelu, for coming on to this show. Well, thank you, Lekon Shote, and thank you, Baba Jide, for doing this with me every other day. I'd like to invite you to the special edition of Journalist Hangout on the 29th of May 2017 as we do a midterm appraisal of President Muhammadu Buhari's government. Venue is our studio here, number 1 Continental Way off CMD Road, Ikosi-Ketu, Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa. And time is 4 p.m. To hang out with us, you can just send your name, your phone number to 08032645899. 0032645899. I will be looking forward to receiving you, and that is it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. See you tomorrow.